Hello and welcome to the Mapping the Doctrine of Discovery podcast. The producers of this podcast would like to acknowledge with respect the Onondaga Nation, firekeepers of the Haudenosaunee, the indigenous peoples on whose ancestral lands Syracuse University now stands. And now, introducing your hosts, Phil Arnold and Sandy Bigtree.
We're here with Tom Porter again, talking about the Revolutionary War and the Haudenosaunee role, and the Mohawks and how the consequences of the Revolutionary War, what that was for the Mohawks, and especially after Joseph Brant. And you've called him a traitor, and maybe you could just kind of tell us the story and kind of your perspective on that whole thing.
Well, first I didn't know that he was my great-great-great-grandfather. I didn't know that all my life. I just found this out only about 10 years ago. Maybe not even that, maybe. I didn't know that. And but they did genealogy work in Grand River, and they're the one who presented me the big plaque with all my father's relatives right to Joseph Brant. That's how I found out. Before that, I didn't know that. Wow. And it turns out that all those 4 Mohawk kings that went to Europe, they were all cousins. And that one is, they're all cousins, so they're all my father's direct descendant from them, including Hendricks. Mm-hmm. And Hendricks' mother, I think, was a Mohegan. Father was a Mohawk, but they put him up as a chief, Hendricks, even though he was a Mohegan. But I think back in those days, they followed more what your natural ability and talent was, rather than being technical about your lineage. Yeah, I think, you see. But nowadays we're more following more rules of European style bureaucracy. Mm-hmm. It's not. We don't recognize the natural talents that we're born with or whatever. So if technically you're not a Mohawk, then you can't be a chief. But back in those days, that didn't matter. It only mattered if you had the ability the skill to lead, and you had all the natural abilities. They recognized that. Mm-hmm. They were more natural in those days.
Well, did it have also to do with just the fact that there are fewer people? I mean, after colonialism, there's disease and there's warfare, and there's just fewer people.
So what? Because there were fewer people still embracing that, they had to hide to do that. They couldn't come out in the open because the consequences was severe. So that didn't help the colonization. The colonization was bad enough as it is. Yeah. But then when you put the other one on, there's another suppression, self-suppression, like within our own people. So they didn't have much choices anymore. So that's how it became now, where the titles are passed just like in the monarchy of England. It goes into the line of the family, of that particular family, not the whole clan. Just from if your grandma was a grandmother, then her daughter, and then her daughter, like that. It's not really supposed to be like that.
Right.
No.
It's a clan decision.
The whole clan is supposed to be their decision, and who's going to be the clan mother if they got the talent and if they got the natural gift for that, then that's the one that would become that.
We're talking about survival, though, and even their names were changed. When the church came in, they targeted the matrilineal clan system and tried to reorganize the society under patriarchal Christian model.
Yeah. So where we are today, a lot of those people, because the population was small, because of the wars and measles and smallpox and all that. I used to even hear that the Senecas had lost a lot of their men, and so they had to call the Mohawk men to go there to impregnate their woman in order to keep the population going. And that's how come John Mohawk has the name John Mohawk. because of that time of the history.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's
Yeah.
what I heard that. John's the one told me that himself. And usually John got his stuff accurate.
Oh, he was a great
Oh,
writer.
Right.
Just a great,
Yeah.
great
Such
So
a
my
deep-
point is now we have clan mothers and everything, but because of that period of history where they had to hold on in a small number to keep it going, they had to pass it down to their daughters, because that's the only one that grew up or has knowledge of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas all the clan, they were Christianized, they were sent to residential school, whatever. So they can't depend on them anymore. They didn't want nothing too much to do with it. Only few upholding it. So it passed down in close family. So now they got used to it now. They're used to that now.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't realize there's a reason why that happened. So how do you detach them from that monarchy kind of environment? That's how
Right.
clan mothers and chiefs are put up now.
Mm-hmm.
We have that's part of the decolonization we have to go through. So we
Right.
have to find a way how to do that, where we don't have to force them or criticize them, but what method do we use to retrieve them, to revitalize or
Right.
make it back to the way it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Well, when the peacemaker came, he was spreading this message with Hiawatha, Jevonsasay, and then the Tatatao's mind is turned. But the whole thing was that everybody united and they agreed
Yeah,
to the
Yeah,
peacemaker's message. So then
Because-
when the
because-
colonists,
because even today, with all the interruption of tradition, it's doing pretty good actually, but there's still interruption from what it's supposed to be. So how do we fix it back? I always myself describe our leaders, clan mothers and leaders, and how they hold council. They're still doing it and everything to the best of, I guess, that they can. At least that's what is claimed. And sometimes I agree too that it is, and then other times I don't agree because I think they could do better.
it
Yeah.
was so
Right.
confusing.
So I describe it as a rattlesnake,
Mm.
and the rattlesnake sheds its skin. And so if you see a rattlesnake skin shed it, you'll get scared because you think it's a real rattlesnake,
Yeah.
but it's not moving. It's just the skin. It's dead. It's not nothing.
Oh.
So our Grand Council leaders, it's like that rattlesnake shed its skin.
Mm.
It doesn't have movement. It looks like a real rattlesnake, but it don't have life.
Wow.
And that's the way our Confederacy, I look at it today. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but that's my analyzation or my the way I see it. And so how do we get rid of that shed its skin and get the real rattlesnake back?
No, that's
Well, you
perfect,
guys-
really.
You guys were, like you said, in just an hour ago, you said your generation were the ones that really kicked the door in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right way to say it, because those were really bad times in the
Yeah.
50s, and 60s, maybe the worst. You had termination and all that going on.
Hmm.
But then
And we had to go to jail
Yeah.
a few times.
Yeah.
Well, to take that stand before the Religious Freedom Act for
Yeah.
Native people, to take that stand, and you're identifying with being traditional, not Christian. That took
Was
a lot
radical.
of nerve.
Yeah.
So radical.
And there's so many. I mean, even the Amers. Oren tells us stories, going out to Wounded Knee or wherever, and the AIM people just didn't know how to behave because they grew up in a city, and but they really wanted to recapture that, and there you were, telling them about the original instructions. So that's I don't know. we need
Whenever
something like
Russell
that.
Means used to see me, he goes the other way because he always had whiskey on his. Russell Means.
Oh yeah,
He always
He
had
was a
whiskey
drinker.
on his
yeah.
breath, and so I thought you were a tradition. I tell him right to his face, it's a real tradition. I don't use alcohol. I get our ways.
Well, I think maybe we need something like that again. I mean, wake up. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people today that are Christian and profess to be Christian, and then they also profess to be traditional. And I don't see how that can happen. And I wasn't raised traditional like you were, so I can't. And this is what you're talking about. I did raise this before, and you told me, it's kind of watching our people. It's like an accordion.
Mm-hmm.
The sound is coming out in different. It's just always in flux.
Yeah. But we were told by our grandmother them not to disown them or to be mean to them. They're lost, and one day they'll wake up and come home. So we should not burn bridges.
Mhm.
Always make it so there's a way for them to come home.
But
and
it's
you were
really, but it is really hard when you're having to talk about the laws of the United States being really Christian based.
Yeah.
Through the doctrines of discovery, that Christians have the right to force you to change your names, force you to go to boarding schools. This is the legacy we all have to unpack now. There's so many damaged people.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of people, a lot of Christians in our department that are trying to recover from their own upbringing.
Mhm.
They don't have the resources of Longhouse or something else. And that's some of our students are recovering from abusive childhoods when they were raised very Christian, very fundamentalist. That term fundamentalist means that they were not allowed to be children, and be free.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of people are experiencing a similar kind of frustration, I guess, sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Some talk about fixing their Christian religions.
Oh yeah, reforming.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
When it's a faith-based religion. Longhouse is not faith-based because these relationships are real. These special relationships with the natural world and with each other, they're not imagined. It's not based in faith. None of it is.
Yeah, well, I think that the main thing, the key to it is to always contain the peace within yourself, the teachers, so that you don't have to fear them, so that trust can be built and get bigger and bigger between the teacher and the people who are lost or got lost their way. But the minute we threaten them or
They feel unsafe.
then they feel unsafe and the trust goes away. So
Yeah.
now you burnt your bridge. You've got no more way to get over to them.
Mhm.
That's a tricky thing, especially with the warrior society
Oof.
and the dogmas of colonization. And you mix all that up, it's like a marble that's got all kind of cloudy in there. You don't even know what's really in the marble.
Well, do you maybe see our listeners? This is the podcast. Maybe our listeners don't know about the Warrior Society. I mean, it's complicated, I know, up at Akwesasne particularly. Maybe you could kind of talk a little bit about that. Give them some sense of what
Well,
it is.
first of all, I don't think that some of the traditional leadership, or most of them, I would say, not all of them, but most of them, think that there's no such thing as a warrior society, and they're somewhat right in a way, but the way the warriors of today are doing things is not really what a warriors of long ago would do. There's a difference between day and night.
Mm.
So that brings confusion. And a lot of the young people don't know or have nothing to judge what a real warrior is about either. What's his name? Tardaho, before Leon Shenandoah. He used to translate the word, the word for warrior, and it doesn't mean a warrior. It doesn't mean like what people think it should mean. he says, that's what they call the men. It's any man. It's not a society man. It's any men, whether it's old, young, or middle age, or a baby, little boy. That means, in what Leon says, and I can see it too, because it's almost the same language as my language. It's like uskyan is a bones. So the digichte means they're carrying it on their back. They're carrying it. So the bones, they're carrying it from our ancestor. That's the job of the men, is to carry the bones of our ancestor to the future. That's what that means. Don't mean warrior society. But a lot of young people don't know that. See, so if you run you run all your ceremony from midwinter all the way, maple ceremony and planting ceremony and bean ceremony, harvest ceremony, all the way 1 year, and you embrace all that. That's what a man's job is, and a woman too. That's what they're talking about, is carrying the bones of our ancestor.
Wow.
All the ceremony never stop. So your job is to protect our language, to protect our clans, to protect our everything.
Kind of a protector rather than an
To keep
aggressor.
But now, even though in the Great Law it says that he uprooted the tree and he summons all of the men to put their weapons of war in there, some of the leadership thinks it's forever. You can't. But I always tell people, I don't think that's what it really means, that you forever. Because you have to hunt the deer, you got to use your weapon, you got to use your spear, your club. You didn't bury that for that. And so if we're in a room here, and children in here, grandchildren here, women in here, and all of a sudden somebody put that door open and's got a gun or a hatchet or a knife, is ready to stab you and the kids, are we going to say, oh, we bury our weapons under the tree, we can't defend? No. If there's somebody in here, your impulse is right away to, no matter what, to try to take that away from them so they don't hurt you. So that's what the men will do. You protect your people, your women, your kids. So they have to be careful when they say bury it. They have to be more technical to detail and explain what does that mean.
Yeah.
So you don't get caught defenseless.
Right. Not to be the guy coming in the door.
Yeah.
Right. Not to be the aggressor that's trying to hurt people.
But then also, other Indians, I don't know if it's Ojibwe or Algonquin or whoever, they used to call us the rattlesnake people. Especially Mohawks get that name. But all Iroquois, they would call us that, rattlesnake people. Because in our law too, if somebody bothers us, we always tell them, stop, don't bother us. Then if the second time they continue to bother us, they warn it more strongly this time. But they don't do nothing, they just warn them. And then the third one, that's when they fight them or strike them. And that's why they call us rattlesnake, because rattlesnake never bothers you. He warn you first, and he warn you again. But if you continue, he can bite you.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And that's why they call us the rattlesnake people.
So it's not like your snakes or something. It's not a.
No, it's
just
our
a descriptive term. Wow.
It's the procedure of so that you don't get angry right away. You always give a first warning, second warning, and that's the same thing when you discipline kids. That's what you do too. That's when you do great feather. That's what you do. 3 again. Remember, I was telling them everything is repetitive all the time. 3.
Wow.
Well, I was reading, about the Jesuits coming into like Wyandotte territory and Emu, and when they brought Christianity in there, they wouldn't even let them fish or hunt unless they accepted Christ. And then they were trying to get the children. Right, this is the early 1600s.
Yeah.
Trying to get the children, educated and Christianized. So they came in full force. And before that, the Wyandot and Innu were under the Great Binding Peace. So it was a different relationship. But once the Jesuits started sending all the furs to Europe and creating, this antagonism with the natural world and with their neighbors, that's when it started. I imagine the wars started to become more frequent. And they really couldn't listen to warnings because the Jesuits were armed, right, with weapons. And it happened so quickly.
Well, the other thing it says in the Guide Wheel is that whenever the European colonialist people had any dealings with any of the Indian people for fur trade or whatever or other else, they also made them get drunk before they would trade, so that they don't know what they get cheated all the time. So the relationship has always been faltered on the other side, with never the intention of being honest.
Right.
So, and in the Indian world, that's almost foreign not to be honest.
Right.
I even heard some judges say that usually non-native people, when they go to court, it's not hard for them to say they're not guilty or argue that they're not, even though they are guilty. But some judges actually said that when Ojibways or Mohawks go to the court, they always right away say, yeah, I did. I stole this, or I did like this. And they tell it right away. Whereas the non-natives, they keep lying. And that's the big difference.
Right.
Because it's in our the way we think every day, like, so we don't really know how to lie.
Yeah.
I got a speeding ticket one time, and I had to go before the judge, and she goes, "Were you speeding?" And I said, "Yes, I was." And she goes, "Let me rephrase this. Were you speeding?" And she was like telling me to lie.
Yeah. Well, that's what it says. Put your hand on the Bible. You tell the truth and the truth, all but the truth. You put your hand on the Bible, and you did it wrong, but they're telling you to say not guilty.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're telling you to lie on the Bible.
Yeah.
So I don't understand either yet.
Yeah.
And then a lot of fear. I mean, Christianity is, let's face it, a fear-based religion,
Yeah.
really. But then they used a disease, they infected our blankets, and then they blamed it that our God was weaker than their God, and just pitting you against, and people are dying every day, left and right. I mean, I just can't even imagine
What it was like.
what it must have been like.
Yeah.
That's why even though I have been critical of Joseph Brant, before I knew I was relative to him, but then later when I found out that he's my relative, I thought maybe I better be a little bit more lenient in my criticism. But then, of course, I wasn't there when he was born, or the circumstances by which they had to live, the environment that they had, and the life they had, and whatever forces were against them. I wasn't there, so some of the people said, well, they all tried to do the best they could just to survive. But
the consequences of his actions were more negative, I guess, in terms of splitting the Confederacy and things.
But the positive thing is, though, is that he was granted that land in Six Nations for everybody to have shelter there, which saved lots of people. On the other hand,
That's true.
So if they would have stayed here, most of them would have been killed, probably.
Yeah.
But he was completely manipulated with Christianity, and that has nothing to do with being kinder to him or, not criticizing him as much. It's about, let's talk about those systems that have infiltrated.
Us all. Really.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with the businessmen now that have cigarettes and all kind of stuff. They're making money in marijuana.
Yeah.
They, in their mind, they're trying to be capitalist or make money for their family, and so, but they were never raised with tradition that would guide them to think otherwise.
Right.
So it's not really their fault.
Right.
Because how many 200 years of being taught this is business.
But it is trauma too.
It is.
They're working out of a trauma. And, being raised Christian myself, I know that there is trauma, because I think, I tell my students this, I think Christianity is a death cult, where indigenous traditions, native traditions are all about life, really about trying to promote life. And what you were talking about, two poles, the positive, the negative, and trying to figure out how to promote life, regenerate life, rather than be focused on the death of the world,
Or preparing for death.
Yeah, right. So I think we're all traumatized to some degree or another.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
we're
why
all
people-
sort of in the same boat.
Yeah, we are definitely in the same boat. Never mind the two
And Kay
roads.
and Kay Olin says, and this boat is getting pretty crowded.
That could be a country song. You should go to Nashville.
Yeah, Kay Olin says that. Yeah, we were getting old. I says, yeah, we're all in the same canoe, and this canoe is getting full. And then I say to people, I says, and if you, I get forgetful nowadays, I says, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, just give it a couple of months, you'll know.
It'll come to you.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you need help catching up on today's topic? Or do you want to learn more about the resources mentioned? If so, please check our website at podcast.doctrineofdiscovery.org for more information. And if you like this episode, review it on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And now, back to the conversation.
Even though the warrior people did things to my own family and my own health and all that, I still don't hate them. I still don't disown them. I just consider that they were never taught the right way. So what they're doing, they think it's right.
Yeah.
So maybe one day they will wake up, and I will be there to welcome them home.
you've always been that way. I mean, we've known you for a long time, and I was thinking, it was 1999 when you first spoke, or I invited you to speak, and John Mohawk was there, and Oren, and Audrey was there. We had a little conference here,
Do you remember that time? Were you there in Buffalo when John Mohawk, they had invited, and at the university in Buffalo, John Mohawk was in there, and Bob Antone and Mike Myers, to hang around together all the time. And so when we were having the conflict in Akwesasne, so they wanted 1 week to invite one faction to tell their story, their side, and then the other one, myself and others, is going to go tell our side, so that people can understand the conflict. And I remember, so it was my turn to go there, and there was full of warriors in there too. They want to hear what I'm going to say about them, I guess. And I just said, all the trouble we have is because of colonization. That's why we don't have value of an Indian anymore or anything. I said so. It took them 200-300 years to get us in this bad situation where we don't know ourselves. I said so. So if we're going to get better, we have to decolonize everything that we colonized us. We have to decolonize. So whatever they ruined, we have to replace it, so that we become whole again. I said, but we don't have the pleasure of having 200 years to do it. We have to do it. So what we got to do with this is we got to circumcise it right here. And everybody started laughing. And I almost got mad at them because they're laughing. I was serious.
Oh.
And so we're in the hall, and John Mohawk laughing, Mike Myers laughing, Bob, they're all laughing. I said, what's funny what I'm talking? Why you guys laugh at me? They says, because you're not supposed to say circumcised. Well, I meant to cut. You don't have 200 years, so we got to cut it short. And I thought that's what it meant. They said, no, it doesn't mean. And that's why they were laughing.
Oh, dear.
John was almost rolling on the floor. He laughed.
Now we're going to put an R-rated warning on this podcast.
Yeah, TVMA or whatever, right?
Now I know what circumcised means.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that would be a quick lesson.
Oh, no.
But I never heard, people never talk much. What I did hear, it just means to cut off, so I thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that's funny.
up there at Akwesasne now, you've got different longhouses, right? The 3 different longhouses. So
And they're all my
And I-
relatives.
I know, and you can't. I mean, you got to negotiate between them all. But back in the early '90s, and this is when we started going up there, it was like
Shooting each other.
Shooting
Yeah,
at
we
each
could
other,
hear the guns and
it was like. So that was brave to be able to, think about, well, how can we bring these 2 people, 2 sides together?
there was 3.
Yeah. So
Well,
maybe they're
I'll
not
tell
shooting
you,
at
I'll
each
tell
other.
you, they were shooting at us and everything, and even they burnt my house. Not the warriors, but the elected system people. Before the warriors burnt my house, and I had just finished building the house, brand new house, burned it to the ground,
Oh.
and all that. And this was in '79. In fact, John Mohawk and his family were living at my house. I had to abandon my house I had just built. I didn't even really finish it to go into the camp where I ran Thompson. So John was staying at my, but they had just gone to Buffalo for the weekend. That's when they burned, when he was gone. So nobody was in there. But I had a cradle board in there that was at least 200 years old that belonged to my great-great-grandmother.
Wow.
And it burned up, and I had different bundles that belonged to medicine for my grandmother's and her grandma. That they passed it to me. They all burned up too. Everything burned up. All pictures of my kids when they were babies all burned up.
Oh,
Everything,
no.
completely, everything. But and I know who did it. Well, I'm friends with them, and I never put it to their face that you burnt my house. So, but they know they did wrong, but they can't have they don't want to talk about it. And so I said, we don't have to talk about it. It's burnt, not going to come back. So, so I'm friends with them, and if they ask me something, I'll do it. Yeah.
Are you related to them?
Some of them.
Wow.
Well, this was way before Warriors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is way before.
So this was the
Yeah,
elective.
no, this was the
government.
elective. Yeah.
Good grief. Oh.
So it's been a war zone periodically, up there, 70s, 90s, and then, so now is it less of a war zone, you'd say?
Well, myself, I told the people that I associate with is we tried to stop it before, and our young men were killed and died over it, and nobody was ever prosecuted. And they shooting at us and everything like that because we're trying to stop things, casinos and smuggling and all that, and but they've overpowered us. They're the more population than us, so we can't really win. So rather than sacrifice any more of our people, young people, to die getting shot from our own people, it better just let it run out. They fill up the gas tank and it'll run out the gas sometime. They'll come to the realization. It's better than sacrificing some young guys
True.
dead.
Yeah.
And so that's the position that I've taken out. So I'm friends with all of them now, and they all say hello to me. We talk and say in passing. But if I got mad, we wouldn't be able to do that. It took 25 years to where they can say hi and mean it.
Wow. And it was hard on, Sandy was talking about how it was hard on your health.
Yeah, I had a major heart attack
you had
over it.
to- yeah, you had
He
to.
was a young man.
And that was over 30 years ago now.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So yeah,
Almost killed me.
yeah.
Yeah,
So if you get angry, it's not good for you either.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Or grief.
Or yeah.
Probably
Do you
laden
feel
with
like you
grief
need
as well.
that you feel like maybe condolence? I mean, that was one of the most brilliant things about the Haudenosaunee, I think, is the need for condolence, and everybody
No,
needs.
I don't need it because the peace that the elders that taught me it grew inside my body, my
Mhm.
mind. So I was had enough power to not let that drag me down.
Because I remember, well, Tom Porter, no, sorry, Jake Swamp.
Oh, Jake Swamp.
Jake Swamp planted a tree right out here back in 96,
Yeah.
96. It's still there, it's got a plaque and everything, but that was his message, right? That we all need condolence in some way. We need to overcome the trauma. He said, I remember, he said, you can go out there, you can hug that tree, you can touch that tree. It's got roots, it'll connect you, and that will help you get through some things, And that was a really important message, and I think people still think about it.
One time, I was at the dentist in St. Regis, waiting for a dentist appointment. I was sitting in there waiting, and one of the warriors went by, and he seen me sitting there, and he backed up. And I said, "Oh, we're going to have a conversation right here at the dentist." Anyways, so he went like this to me. So I said, "Maybe we're going to have a fight now." So I went over there. I'm not afraid of him. And he looked at me and he says, I wanna apologize to you. He said, because I lost my mind for a number of years. He said, and I went against you and our people. And he says, and I was misled, really misled, and start to believe in those things that people try to mislead me.
Wow.
And that's why I went crazy, and I almost hurt you, I almost kill you. And he says, he cried.
Good.
Oh, goodness.
And then he hugged me.
Oh, my goodness.
He said, I'm sorry what I did to you. And that's my condolence.
That's
That
a lot.
one action.
That's a lot.
That one action has changed the way you're dealing with this today. That's so powerful.
Yeah,
So
because
to
he didn't know what
do
he was
that.
doing. He thought it was right.
So many people are unwilling to admit something they've done. But that's where the real healing comes from.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
I think there's a lot of that, a lot of non-native people in that room tonight, are listening to you and get something from what you have to say. I imagine you go around the state and it's not all native people that you're speaking to.
No, a lot.
You're someone who is open. That's what's so impressive about you. You're always open to whomever comes. So, that's kind of rare. We're in Onondaga Nation territory, and we've always respected them for hanging on to what they have, but they're very insulated.
Yeah.
They're not like you.
Yeah, I know.
They're not, and it's hard to sometimes, be working with.
Well,
them.
I used to be like them too when I was younger.
Yeah, well. Yeah,
You're
no,
really
you've got to
going against
you've
the
got to
threat.
protect, and I imagine that's something your grandma told you too. You've got to hang on to this. So that's how they work. But I think even now, I think now they're more interested in maybe going out and speaking. I mean, certainly there were Onondagas in the room. So.
There's central fire.
Hallelujah.
Yep.
Hallelujah. Oh, do we dare end it there?
And on that note.
The producers of this podcast were Adam DJ Brett and Jordan Lon Cologne. Our intro and outro is social dancing music by Oris Edwards and Regis Cook. This podcast is funded in collaboration with the Henry Luce Foundation, Syracuse University, and Hendricks Chapel, and the Indigenous Values Initiative. If you like this episode, please check out our website and make sure to subscribe.